Hello, back with another episode of Eat This, Drink That. We got our food expert, Ali. I'm Ryan, and most importantly, we have our drink expert, Steve. Steve, what is going to be your drink that for today?
What's up, guys? We're just we're continuing this thread of French-themed cocktails, although it really could have just been called the New Orleans set. We're doing something called the Vieux Carre, which just means Old Square. And if
Vieux
you've
Carre.
been to New Orleans, the Old Square is called Vieux Carre. Most people will know this cocktail if they're an Ernest Hemingway fan because he wrote about him. It was created in New Orleans in the 30s, so between the two wars, at the Carousel Bar, which was a bar in a hotel. And hotel bars are still alive and well in New Orleans. There's plenty to go drink at. It's an experience. I love hotel bars. I think it's
So
the
how's
best.
a hotel bar in New Orleans? How's a hotel bar in New Orleans different than like going to a hotel bar in New York City? Chicago.
They just take drinking at a hotel bar to another level. It's not just the people that are staying at the hotel. People come to drink at that hotel bar in New Orleans. You have all kinds of, and there's something special or fun about dressing up, maybe even little costumey down in New Orleans and going out to eat and drink.
Okay.
Last time I was there, last Memorial Day weekend, there was a couple in full 1880s regalia, like the hat and the full blooming dress, and he was dressed up in with tails. And I asked, I was like, I want to be hanging out with these people and I want to dress like that. So I went over and I just figured they were people that went down to the square to had tourists to take pictures for money. And they're like, no, we went to brunch. That's what they just woke up.
Awesome.
We're going to brunch, and we got
You thought they were panhandlers.
Yes.
And they were just out to breakfast.
Only in New Orleans would somebody wake up and say, I'm putting on tails and a tux and a top hat, and I'm going to brunch. So think of that. The experience of a hotel bar in New Orleans is different because people come from all over to drink there, not just hotel guests. It's a little more elaborate of decor. It's not a modern hotel. It's old school New Orleans hotels. So anyway, this cocktail comes from one of those hotels. It was the Carousel Bar within the hotel. And it is based on rye and cognac, Carpano Antica or sweet vermouth, just whatever sweet vermouth. I use Carpano Antica, probably more out of habit. And then, of course, there has to be a secret ingredient because it's not just rye and cognac. Kind of like the Sazerac had the Herb Saint or the Pastis spray. This is going to be more of a spray, but this is Benedictine. And every time I hear the word, when I hear Benedictine, I think of a B&B, which was really popular, I guess, in the 70s and probably the 80s.
Right.
And then I think of High Anxiety, or I think it was High Anxiety. They go to the bar and sit down.
Mel Brooks.
Yeah, and she orders a B&B, and he goes, and I would like a B&B. So B&B is just Benedictine and brandy. This is Benedictine, was created by a wine merchant. I think it was a wine merchant. But there's a fun story about this. You would think this is just monk juice. Like it's an herbal liqueur, and the idea that it's called Dom Benedict.
That sounds so oddly unappealing. Monk juice.
Some monk is sitting around creating this with special herbs from the alpine forests, and it's supposed to cure cancer or whatever. This was created by a wine merchant.
Or cause it.
Yeah, or cause it. The wine merchant made up the entire story about this coming from an abbey that may have been bombed out during a war. And it was all, it was a joke. It was a marketing ploy. But
So
this is
B&B, that's a cognac.
yeah. So this is no. I don't
Benedictine
know.
brandy.
I honestly don't know what the base is. I don't know what the base is. But I do know it's based. The flavorings are 27 combination of flowers, herbs, spices, roots, and berries. Um, it has a distinct herbal liqueur flavor. Not quite as dramatic as the Sues that we use for the white Negronis. But you're only using one. You're using a teaspoon of this. That's it. A little bit more than the spritz from the Herb Saint, but yeah, you don't want to overpower the cocktail. So let's get to the cocktail. Almost a Negroni. This is almost a Negroni ratio, although it's 2 spirits instead of the liqueur and the vermouth. So it's 1 ounce rye, 1 ounce cognac, 1 ounce sweet vermouth, a teaspoon of Benedictine. I've actually seen recipes that have 2 or 3 teaspoons. You might want to play around with it. Since you're making these at home, you have to buy a 750 of Benedictine. You're going to have plenty to play around and try different cocktails. Try it. You might like it with a little more herbaceous flavor and want 3 teaspoons in this. I'm not a stickler for ratios. You might prefer a different flavor profile than I do. So, and then we're going to our 2 bitters, Peychaud and Angostura. We're going to go about 3 dashes of each. So let's jump in this right now. I brought a different glass today.
Ali, we're gonna have to go out there and help Steve drink all this stuff. I feel like one of these weekends.
It is crazy. He's starting
He has all these
to. I
bottles
know
and
I've been
stuff.
talking to Steve too long, where I'm like, yeah, I should have more than one bitter. I have so many freaking bitters, but it's all the same bitter. I'm a little bitter about my bitters, and then the Benedictine thing. I'm just like, I wish I could go back. Speaking of the '70s, I wish I could go back in time to my parents' liquor cabinet because I guarantee you that damn bottle would just sit there.
Yeah.
I should have chug-a-lugged it in high school.
So I thought I remember being able to buy 375s and airplane bottles of Benedictine. I'm pretty sure these people got very smart along with other liqueur companies. You don't go through a lot of this. So they're going to make you buy 750. You're going to buy it. You're paying for the full bottle.
Yeah.
So let's do this. I brought something different today. It's not special mixing glasses. I want you to kind of see the glass, the ice, the mixing. This came from my parents' liquor cabinet.
What is this thing?
Yeah.
It's got writing all over it.
Yeah. It's got different recipes on the glass. This is, I think, from the 70s. My parents never used it, but it was in their liquor cabinet. So
I just found our business opportunity. We're going to make these things.
Yeah.
That's a killer idea.
Yeah. I don't know if they still make them or not, but yeah. I know.
Exactly. Because we are in China. Oh my God.
That's right. Slap our logo on there. Boom.
Yeah. That's genius.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. And,
that is the spritz thing.
I honestly haven't looked at the recipes. I mean, they could be terrible recipes too, but who knows? We could totally come up with our own glass with really nice recipes. They're on the glass. So let's do this.
Yeah.
1-1-1.
Okay. Anyway.
So we're going to go.
Talk about that off the air.
Yeah. We're going to go 1-1-1. Rye, cognac, and sweet vermouth. So that was the rye. I got a different Hennessy today. This is something Master Blenders. It's a special little one-off.
What rye did you use? Which rye was this one?
So I have Woodinville in the house right now. It's because it's 100% rye. I like 100% rye. It's very assertive rye.
Spicy, if you will.
Bingo. 1 ounce of Hennessy's Master Blender. I like this bottle because it was a 375. You don't want to, if you don't need a lot of cognac around your house. Then
Yes, I do.
1 ounce sweet vermouth with, this is sealed up in the fridge so it stays safe or fresh and safe. Although I'm almost out of that. So another ounce of that. Now we go to our Benedictine. We're only an ounce or a teaspoon. I don't want to overwhelm this drink with the herbaceous flavor, so I'm only doing a teaspoon.
Teaspoon of the Benedictine.
Yep,
All right.
teaspoon.
Dang,
Benedictine.
there's all kinds of stuff up in here.
Yeah, this is more ingredients, and it's still
So
a very
wait, rye, cognac, vermouth. Yeah, okay, fine.
and Benedictine.
Here we go.
4 ingredients.
4 ingredients.
And I almost forgot bitters. So 3 dashes of the duo, Peychaud and Angostura. So I'm just gonna do 3 dashes.
Looks like you're just like, this drink seems like you're just like, grabbed everything from that weird, the dustiest shelf of the liquor cabinet. By far, it's like, oh yeah, I haven't touched this in a year.
And then we're just gonna stir this. We're really stirring again for temperature and a little bit of dilution.
Why wouldn't you do this in a shaker? Or are you just trying to show off our new glass merch?
Yeah, I had this sitting around. I found it. I'm like, I'm going to use this. You can see what's happening.
And there's ice in there. Is it a cylinder of ice or
Yeah.
one of
So
those
because
cubes that
of
we
the
use?
shape of this, mixing tin, my cube ice wouldn't fit. So I used a cylinder ice that I use. It's the shaking ice. I have a couple ice trays that I use for shaking ice. So when you're making margaritas, it's more of a cylinder, and it's better for shaking. So now, what do we do for the glass? There's 2 ideas. You can do your Nick and Nora coupe or a rocks glass with another cube of ice. Now, we talked about this, I think, with the Sazerac. This is not a shy drink. There's a lot of liquor in here. I'm not kicking back, and this thing is not going to be gone in 5 minutes. This is going to be a cocktail that I sip, that I enjoy. I don't want it to dilute over time with the cube of ice. Now, if you don't like really spirit forward cocktails, but you want to enjoy these flavors, put it in a rocks glass, let it sit around for a while. It's going to dilute a little bit more, and you're going to enjoy it that much more. I just want no dilution, spirit forward. Look at that.
Damn.
Perfect amount.
But for our New Orleans trilogy, Steve, you were saying that this might be the cocktail that you would use with a rock instead of the other 2 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, depending on the person, I can see this. I would definitely prefer the French 75. No, that goes into a champagne flute. No way.
That's champagne.
I can see the argument for the Sazerac having a rocks glass. I would never do it. I honestly wouldn't do it with the Vieux Carre either. But this would be the one out of the 3 that I would see warrants a rocks glass with the cube of ice. Traditionally, everybody used lemon twist with a lot of these rye cognac cocktails. The French 75 had a lemon twist. The Sazerac could have had a lemon twist. For brown spirits, cognacs, and whiskeys, I love oranges and cherries. So I double garnish.
Agreed.
So this is an orange peel. And then I'm going back to my little container. I'm only going to put 1 cherry in there, no juice. Get it strained a little bit. And the Vieux Carre. You could call it the Ernest Hemingway if you wanted to, because he's the one that popularized this drink and wrote about it. Jesus, that
awesome.
It's just
you know what I saw on
good.
The internet. The internet is telling me that the Benedictine Recipe is a trade secret and only 3 people are to know it at a time, apparently.
So
Weird.
they're probably
That's odd.
stealing. So chartreuse was maybe the first monk herbal liqueur. Yeah, who knows? There's a lot of them all through the Alps region and through eastern France and different areas. Alpine liqueurs, they cure ills, they use herbs and roots and spices, all local. The story, I think, with chartreuse is only 2 monks know half the recipe, and they're never allowed to share that with each other, so that no one can steal the recipe. And it's passed down from monk to monk to monk over centuries. I imagine this marketing guy, the wine merchant, the salesperson who created the story about the abbey that was, I don't know, bombed out or something. He might have created that.
Right.
Or it could have been later when they realized they had something that people wanted to steal. They probably had to break off the recipe, and one person knows a third, another one knows a third, another one knows a third. Who knows?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I heard that about, like Coca-Cola, for example, right? Like
Mhm.
only 2 guys can know the recipe and they always have to fly in separate planes, and that myth, whether it's true or not, but
Wow.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's
I
why I
mean,
don't want
wasn't,
Pepsi. But I always thought it was the can.
yeah, it was just coca leaves and sugar. That's why everybody felt great with Coca Cola.
And
The
just
old
a little,
days.
and a teaspoon of. Um,
Yeah.
so this is a powerful drink. I feel like the Sazerac was a powerful. And I just want to be clear here. Is it the Vieux Carre? Vieux Carre?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah. The old
Yep.
Vieux
square.
Carre. This thing, and he's having it. You're convincing me to try a lot of these drinks, with even though I love like my ice cube, my inferior tap water ice cube, in a mold.
Bourbon
Yeah, my
rocks.
bourbon rock, whatever. I want to try these up. The Sazerac, very powerful. A lot of booze in here.
Yeah.
How does one wrestle this with food? It's just such a powerhouse of a drink. Also with a
Yeah.
lot of flavors. I can't tell you the last time. I don't think I've ever truly had cognac or brandy in a way where I'm like really appreciating the experience. So.
Hmm.
Yeah, what's the Benedictine doing? Is this a more floral version of the Sazerac,
Yeah.
or
So this is adding, well, with the Sazerac, you had the herb saint or the absinthe or pastis. That's that
the
licorice
licoricey sort of
note that
thing?
goes
Mhm.
through the
Right.
cocktail. This is more of
Apothecary vibe.
a floral herbaceousness that goes through. There's a lot of herbs in that
Okay.
Benedictine. So we're back to
Okay.
not quite as herbaceous and bitter as the Suze that we used in the white Negroni, but somewhere
Yep,
in
Negroni.
between a vermouth
Okay.
and a Suze, like a really bitter herbal liqueur. So the herbal note is lying underneath, but it's still dominated by the spice notes from the rye and the vanilla from the cognac.
Okay.
Um, those are your dominating
Okay.
flavors. But with that sweet vermouth, there's a roundness to the palate because of the
Okay.
flavors of the vermouth and the sweetness from the vermouth. So it all
So
balances
that's
together.
chilling it out, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah.
Taming the fire.
Yeah.
What am I putting in my mouth that's food? What are
Yeah.
we
But
eating with this?
this is definitely still a big, rich,
Right.
dense cocktail. This is an
Okay.
end of the evening cocktail if you want, but you could definitely
Okay.
have this at dinner. Steaks, roasted big pork chops, roasted chicken, roasted duck breast with a heavy sauce. You can totally have this. These are more indulgent cocktails. That Sazerac that we had, even an old fashioned is fairly indulgent. So you can have indulgent food with it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Oh man.
Wow.
Where does one go? I almost feel like this is kind of like I want a Guy Fieri triple D sandwich. You know what I mean? I
Oh,
want like
Let me throw. What about Thai food or something with this?
so this would overwhelm the Thai food. Um,
Overwhelm.
yeah,
Okay.
I
even
still
like
with
a
spicy.
Penang, even like a coconut curry.
Yeah, but as
Coconut
long the
cream.
spice would kind of clash with this too. I mean, you got a powerful
Okay.
drink and a powerful spice, and they're just banging heads.
hmm
Whereas,
hmm
So would
spicy
this
food.
apply to like a tikka masala as well? Indian
Yeah,
food?
no, that would probably
Same
be
thing?
okay. A tikka masala.
Oh yeah, because
Okay.
there's
But
so
I
much
would
cream.
still, yeah,
You
I
know what I'm
would
thinking with
stick
this?
to rich foods.
I'm thinking
Okay.
this, and being in Austin, being in the heart of Central Texas barbecue, there is a Cadillac item, the smoked beef rib. It's a big ticket. If you go, you have to buy the whole rib. It's usually going to cost you like $50, and
Yeah.
usually when you get it, or when you get super fatty brisket, you have a bite and you're like, I'm full. I would have that. And there's some people who do crazy dishes, like they'll do a chicken fried beef rib, um, with country gravy. It's kind of striking me as like, yeah, like the beef rib. It's a big serving of richness. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it makes
be
filet
perfect.
mignon feel like a radish.
Yeah,
Like that. Like ribeye is the minimum.
yeah.
Minimum. You know.
So that Texas style T-bone, 64 ounces, 128, whatever, those big giant pieces of steak, over
hmm
flame. This, you almost have to have a whiskey cocktail with one of those.
Okay, I
Yeah.
can get with
Love
that.
it.
I
Yeah.
can get with that. Oh man, that does
Cool.
sound. Yeah, so it's funny. All those kind of like where food becomes like more contrasty, right? Because Crosby, you were thinking about like flavors and like those spices and those aromatics. And it's actually interesting because you think of certainly some Indian foods, many Indian foods, not so much tikka masala, but other curries. Lots of aromatics, cardamom, coriander, cumin,
Yeah.
all that stuff gets thrown in there. Other stuff that doesn't start with C, mace, star anise. But because you're getting those spices in the rye, it's kind of like, is it the same? Maybe it's not the same. So you want something that maybe doesn't have the spice because the rye
Yeah.
is bringing the
Right.
spice.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Interesting. Yeah. Thought process for this.
Yeah. I
It's
still
crazy,
contend
man.
that the best pairings for Indian food are Basque or Normandy cider, dry cider,
Yeah.
or champagne.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
love champagne with
Okay.
Indian food.
Yeah, right. Like I feel like you always at a Thai spot or an Indian spot, or even like with sushi, you're having like a beer,
Yeah.
just a
For
really
sure.
cold,
Stellar.
crisp
Crisp.
beer to cut through the heat.
Yeah, these big heavy drinks, I just think of like, can I just have and honestly, like kind of going this route, like imagine like a shrimp and oyster po' boy with a
Oh,
layer
Mm,
of cream spinach on it. You know what I mean? You're like, that's
yeah,
just like it's a soaker,
rich.
rich fattiness. You know what I mean? It could be
Grease.
shellfish, it could be red meat. Chicken with the
here's
skin on,
another.
kind of thing.
Here's another idea. Your fried chicken sandwich would work with this, or I know it's a day. It's more of a daytime sandwich just because of the grocery store you buy it from. But the muffalata sandwich with that big bread and all those
Ooh,
meats and the olive
Yeah,
tapenade,
yes.
and
yeah.
this cocktail,
Ooh,
yes. I'm just gonna say
All
yes.
right.
that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
There's
cool
even
idea.
like, I'll throw this at you, Crosby. I know you've been there. Imagine a French dip, you know? I'm thinking
Yes.
Felipe, Coles.
Felipe's.
You're having like, and it's messy too. And then,
Yep.
it's just like, and like, let's be generous too. I always like Cole's more than Felipe's because it was frankly a
I do
better
too.
sandwich. People will be
Yeah.
like, no, Felipe's a classic. And like, it's cool, but it's frankly just a more modest offering. It's
Yeah.
smaller. It's not,
Yeah.
it's just not. I think Cole's was just like a better made sandwich. Like maybe
Yeah.
you're not into a 2.0. I don't know,
The
but
the
That would be fun to
Coles
order at
the Coles
Philippe's.
lamb was my favorite. The Coles lamb. The
Yeah,
Coles
yeah,
lamb and
for
this
sure.
with the au jus and everything. Yes.
Right. Yeah, almost like
Oh,
kind
the
of an
French dip in Vieux
unapologetic,
Carre.
like roast lamb with some sort of like, that au jus is kind of like,
Hmm.
I hope you like lamb.
Yeah.
We're not being subtle here. It's just like this is
No.
it, Oh God, the mind does.
Yeah.
It's almost like when I said Guy Fieri sandwich. It's like, how over the top can you take it? Because this is an over the top cocktail. 3, 4
Right.
spirits, getting involved, finding the dustiest
Yeah.
bottle. My
Two
parents' liquor
spirits
cabinet.
of vermouth and a liqueur. Yeah.
All
So you
booze to
got
me, pal. I mean, you got
yeah.
to be 21 to buy everything. Let's just
Yes.
let's just get that out the way. You must be 21 to buy everything in here.
Yeah.
Even the
Yes.
ice.
Ugh.
You're
It's
friend.
all liquor.
Yeah. All liquor.
Steve, thank you for the Vieux Carre.
It's a beast.
Thank you for all of our New Orleans dishes. If you're watching this, you're probably seeing the 3rd episode of our New Orleans French-inspired cocktails
Trilogy.
from Steve.
The trilogy. A lot of booze.
Steve, thank you so much. Any final notes about the Vieux Carre, Steve? Or
No, but
bon
I'll have
appetit?
to tell a different time a story that I had with a friend last night. We were all out to dinner. This couple joined us, and we had a ice discussion of our obsession in making ice and some way that I had forgotten that I used to do it for like a year. We'll talk about it down the road. Yeah,
I
that's how we're going to
cannot.
end.
What a cliffhanger.
What a cliffhanger. Okay, well, be on the lookout for our ice episode coming soon with Steve. Thank you guys so much for today. Ali,
Thanks.
Steve, signing out.
See you guys.